This book is called The Rudiments of Music. My name is Rzhude, but I'm not the author of it. One of my students worked my name into that. And the subject of the book is time. If you can see it on those screens. If not, you can look at the bookstore over here. There are copies of this book. We run a program, and the reason this book came into being was because of a connection with one child that introduced me to autism about 17 years ago, and developing a program to try and understand how I could teach him how to play music. He had a music inclination, and what happened was we explored things, and he, at one point in time, actually ended up telling me that you can't teach me, but maybe you can learn from me. And he's nonverbal. So that's the way I kind of developed this concept. The book itself has been illustrated by a child with high-functioning autism, Asperger's. I'm going to read you through the first few pages of the book. The book starts with a commitment. It's not about how to learn music. It's not about how to play music. It's about how to practice music. A simple method of getting you through a daily practice routine. And that's the differentiator between a musician and a non-musician. The musicians just love to practice. And if you've been around musicians, you know that they're constantly beating on something or playing music or thinking music. And if you've been with kids who are naturally musical, you'll see that all the time. It's difficult to keep them down. So we developed a system called the hum drum, and we use these tone drums. You can see they're a little colorful things, but they're made out of stuff you can get in a hardware store. Very simple materials. This is a sofa cover. It's backed up with hose pipe and foam. But when you play it, so it's a low frequency drum. It's not meant to be loud like the traditional drums, because a lot of the kids that I work with have a hypersensitive nature towards the high frequencies, especially the loud ones. We go back, and the whole principle runs around the traditional drum circles, the Red Indians, the native African tribes that play drums and communicate. I'm going to read a bit of this just to get us started while they set up and work out the usual technical things. No life without sound. No sound without life. An exploration of the very fabric of life, the code of sound set in time. That's the illustration that's put together. You'll need to get a closer look at it, if you can see it on the screen maybe. And that's what we are exploring here as musicians. So what is time? An imaginary line to mark the start and end of an event. And that's the illustration that Dhruva came up with. Sunrise, sunset, light and dark, the passage between nothing and something, then and now, here and there. Sound repeated in time creates rhythm in the waves of the sea, in the leaves and the trees, and the birds and the bees. A breath of air, in and out, long and short, a heart beating, a clock ticking, a drop dripping. Time exists, but only if it can be measured.
Just plug it out.
So how do we measure time? And that's what we're about. Give us a second while we get this set up. Yeah.
Yeah. I need more money.
Sometimes it takes a connection to get somewhere. So we choose to measure time with music. And sounds like that as well. The code of language is sounds set in time. Can any of you remember what was your first word? Anyone? The common one. Amma.
Yeah.
Butto is making some sounds. Can you recognize those? So this goes back to something we know as the Samaveda. The beginning of language and mathematics in sound. Take yourself back maybe 10,000 years, I don't know the number. When all these sounds I'm making wouldn't have made sense to you. One sound, you said, Amma. The ah, the first sound that a baby makes, that was your first word, right? Ah, and the Amma. And we're talking about words, thousands and thousands of words. In as many languages, I don't know the count. And when you deal with a child on the autism spectrum, who's a fully grown, maybe a 17-year-old that I dealt with, who hasn't yet got that first word. So sound set in time, a memory system to help us remember, record, and repeat. And that's what typically happens to, if you've been in a drum circle, you know that you learn by repetition. And that's how we all learn. How long did it take us to learn and before it became apple, A for apple? A couple of years of repetition of the drawing. What we've got in this book is a way to get from the the difference between a 1 and a 0, 1 and nothing. And when that becomes 2 beats, 2 and nothing, or 3 and nothing, 4 and nothing, and something like a beat. If you want to join us, there are a few drums. Please come forward and join.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can still play. I think we have a little bit more, a little more time here. I know you all expected to see Lucky Ali as the draw, but this wonderful man here, Butto ji, is a student of Hari Prasad Chaurasia ji, and has been playing for many, many years. He has his own record of lots of film work, lots of albums that he's put out, and he's a constant feature on the Lucky Ali band. And having worked with someone like Lucky, who's I believe one of the finest storytellers, and he brings out what he does through his music. And having been inside that team for about 15 years, I know for a fact that what you heard of Lucky Ali is only about 20% of the music that he really has. He has a lot of amazing, amazing songs that we're just so lucky to have played, but not to have heard outside. But it's coming out. And the Lucky Ali version 2 is what you see sitting there. Butto ji's son, Advait. Still a teenager, but he can do a lot of stuff with that guitar. Here, Dinu is the drummer and percussionist with the band. And our extended band here. I don't know all your names, but we'll get to know you soon.
Thank you.
So do you want to hear one more song or do you want to hear Lucky Ali talking on the phone?
Last one.
He said, call me and I'll come on the phone and talk to everyone and tell them why I didn't come here. I think I'll spare him that and I'll spare you also that. And Butto ji, we've got 10 minutes. Shall we do another one? While I talk you through a little bit more about the book. Another 5 minutes, she says. So just about that then. It's a 21-day program that takes you through 15 minutes every day. And it asks you for a commitment. The beginning of the book, can you spend 15 minutes a day practicing? And through that 21-day routine, usually we learn something that looks like that. I don't know, the standard Western notation, it's a little difficult to see, but all of you have seen it on sometimes on wedding cards and stuff like that, the little dots and dashes that they call music. We've attached that to the Carnatic system where you use a tha and a taka or a takadimi to divide music with the sound and put it in time. And at the end of that, you actually learn how to play music, how to use this book and the drum. The drum, incidentally, is called the hum drum because it's got tones in it. And we use that to generate the tones that begin language itself. You want to start another song? Or?
I mean, it's okay.
I think we have done on our time then. Did she say wind up? Yeah? Okay, one quick one then.
Okay.
Yeah? One more song then. And I'll just end with the parting lines of this book. We can sing before we learn to speak. We dance before we can walk. A baby's cry, a mother's response. Even whales have song. Our hearts pulse with a life force. A song makes us tap our feet in sync with the beat. Thank you for your time. Hope you had fun with the music and the drum. Hum along and explore the magic of a song. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Shiny, and all of you who have put this massive effort together, and thank you for giving us the stage for this time.
So everyone expected Lucky, so I'll play Lucky song to end our concert. क्यों चलती है पावन? Thank you.
Thank you all so much. If you want to find us, humdrum.in. If you want to mail me, it's me@humdrum.in. Thank you all. Thanks.